All right, so we're gonna learn how to edit some photos in Lightroom, okay? To open up Lightroom, go down to the Start button, you're gonna click All, and then you're gonna find Adobe Lightroom Classic. Don't use Lightroom, use Lightroom Classic, okay? When you open up Classic, it'll look like this. You won't have any pictures, but this is what Lightroom looks like, okay? So first thing you need to do is you need to download your pictures. So all of your rule of thirds photos that that you've taken over the past couple of days, okay? Imagine that this is the folder, okay? So this is the folder that has all of your pictures of rule of thirds. You have to download it, okay? Everyone does this on their own computer. Down arrow, download, and then it'll download and it'll look like this in your downloads folder. It'll say compressed zipped folder. You cannot open these. The best way that I can explain it is that it's zipped up, it's closed. So you have to unzip it or extract all in order to see your pictures. So here you'll click the folder and then at the top you'll see extract all and then extract. What that does is it unzips your folder. So now you have the folder, it's unzipped, and now if you go into Lightroom, you'll be able to see your photos, okay? So if we go into Lightroom, all right, we have a library tab and a develop tab, okay? These are the only two tabs you're gonna be working with right now. So library, and let me move this out the way. Library import. And then from import, you will go to, let's see, you'll go to users. This should pop up already for you. I don't know why it's not showing for me. Downloads. And then I need to find examples. It's right here. All right. So for you, it won't be that complicated. It should just, once you press import, they should be able to pop up and you should be able to see it from your downloads folder. Okay. I just have a bunch of stuff on my computer. All right. From your downloads folder, after you bring these and import these in, you can check these off or check them on. I would just bring them all in. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to edit 2 out of every 4. So if there's 4 rule of thirds, you're going to edit 2 of them. You got to edit 2 of your symmetrical. You got to edit 2 of your portraits, and you got to edit 2 of where the subject is looking into open space. Okay, so you can check these off, and then just check the 2 that you want to keep. So, as for the sake of this example, I'm only going to use this one, and then when you're done selecting, don't hit done, hit import. Let them load. You'll see them load up here in the corner. And then once they're all loaded, go to develop. Okay. Across the bottom is called your film strip. You will, if you have more than one photo, you'll be able to see all of them down here. And then this is your photos. Okay. You have presets across the side here. You again won't have this many, and you're not going to use any of these yet. Later on, we will. And then you have your develop tab. So there's a basic tab, tone curve, color mixer, color grading, detail, all the way down. All these tabs open and close, okay? And the great thing about Lightroom is that they're all in order by what you should start with first, okay? So you should always just start in the basic tab and work your way down, all right? Always, 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 the first thing you wanna do with your photo is crop and straighten it, okay? And the shortcut to do that is the R button or this right here where it says crop overlay. Okay, so I'm gonna press R. Okay, and you can see I see my rule of thirds grid. All right, and we're cropping and we're straightening portraits. The eyes are supposed to be across that top horizontal line, so I can crop so that the eyes are there across that horizontal line. And then if it wasn't straight, like if it was a little off center, then I would just go and I would straighten it. All right, but it's good, we're good. Once it's cropped and straightened, you press enter. And there, it's cropped, straightened, there's your beginner, okay, your first step. That's always step 1, every single photo, doesn't matter what we're doing. Next, we have to fix the temperature and the tint, okay? What this controls is if a photo is too blue, then we need to move our temperature over and make it more neutral. And if it's too orange, then we move it and again make it more neutral. Okay. And it's just adjusting these. Every photo is different, so there's no right or wrong way for me to tell you how to do this. You're looking at your photo and you're adjusting both of these and you're trying to get the skin tones. You're focusing on the skin tones only if it's a person, okay? And you're trying to get her skin to look as natural as possible, all right? That's pretty good. And then we work our way down. The easiest way for me to explain this to you is just for you guys to play around and just kind of get used to what everything does. Exposure, and the best way to do that is just to grab these sliders and move them back and forth, okay? Exposure controls the brightness. If you move it to one side and need to get it back to the center, you just double click on it, okay? Shortcut. So we'll brighten this a little bit, just a little bit, okay? Contrast, what this does, you can see what it does. Okay, so we'll go back to the center and maybe we'll move it up just like a little tiny bit. I moved it up 4 points. Highlights. So highlights seem to blow out a lot of the detail in her shirt. So we're gonna drop the highlights. Okay, shadows. More so the background. I kind of like it to be a little bit darker just so that it isn't so distracting. Whites, okay, we can move the whites up a little bit. And then we're gonna move blacks, we'll move it down a little bit, okay? To see your before and your afters, it's this button. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's right above your enter key, okay? Right above your enter key right here, okay? If I click that, it's your backslash. If I click that, it'll show me the before and the after. Okay, before, after, before, after. All right, so far it looks pretty good, okay? The next step we're gonna go into is our tone curve, okay? The easiest way for me to explain this to you is one, leave it here on your point curve. Don't have it on any of these colors, okay? Leave it on the point curve. The more to the left, it's you're looking at your blacks. The more to the in shadows, and the more to the right is your highlights and your whites, okay? So if I make points on this grid, you should just make 3 points along these grid lines. So there should be a point here, here, and here, okay? And rule of thumb, for the most part, with everything, you kind of want to make the curve look a little bit like an S. So we'll drop our highlights down a little bit, or our shadows. Our midtones in the center, we can move them up a little bit, and then our highlights, we can move them up a little bit, okay? And again, before and after is your shift, but your backslash button. But what you can also do is each individual tab has an eyeball on it. So if you click the eyeball, it shows you what it looks like before and after on just that tab, okay? So that was before I used the tone curve, that's after, okay? And we're looking at subtle differences. We're not expecting to mess with one of these tabs and have like a super drastic difference. We just are making subtle differences just to enhance the photo, okay? And then color mixer, this is the last tab we're gonna use. This controls the individual colors within the photo, okay? So how this works is saturation controls how much color. So if I take the red and I turn it off, everything that's red in the photo goes off, okay? If I move it to the right, it really exaggerates that red color, all right? Hue is the tint of the color. So if I move it to the left, you can see they turn like more purple. If I move it to the right, they turn more orange. And then the illuminance is how bright or dark the color is. So to the left is darker, to the right is brighter. So then you'll just you'll go through, start with saturation, and we will adjust these as needed. And again, you can move them back and forth and kind of see what they adjust, what it affects. Yellow, you can see what yellow affects. Okay. Green, aqua. Okay. The rest of these aren't really in there. Well, purple and magenta. Let's go purple. Nothing. Magenta, yep, on the shirt. Perfect. All right. And then our hue, make the reds a little darker. The orange a little lighter. Orange a little darker. Okay. And just kind of going through this is not perfect, but just kind of showing you, again, before and after. It's very, very subtle. Okay. Before and after. All right. And then you just repeat that process on all of your photos. All right. Crop and straighten, go through your basic tab, adjust the cone curve slightly, and then our color mixer. All right. Each of the photos. Okay. So you should have 8 photos total that you're editing. All right. And they save automatically in Lightroom. So when you're done with 1 or 2 and say the end of the period's there, and you need to close, then you can just shut down Lightroom and it saves for you.